Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today we're here to look at 10 awesome movies that you might have missed. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. All right, so 10 awesome movies that you might have missed. Now these are movies that are really good movies, maybe they were really popular movies at some point. They're all different kinds of genres. You got a lot of different tastes here, and we're going to just jump right into it because I think this is a list of really, really good movies. If you're looking for something to watch, you found the right video. This is going to give you a lot of things across a lot of different genres. All right, we're going to jump right into this list at number 10. I kind of got these ranked, but these are all great movies. I'm going to jump right in with 2006's Smoking Aces. I actually got to see this movie at the premiere at Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood, which was a very cool experience. This stars a bunch of people. I mean, basically everyone in Hollywood was in this movie, but the key here is you have Ryan Reynolds and Ray Liotta play two agents that have to protect Jeremy Piven, and he plays a guy that's kind of like a magician, a Vegas performer, who is going to testify, turn state's evidence against organized crime. And they are going to do everything they can to stop him. And that involves hiring every hitman, every assassin, everybody they can to get to him before he can testify. They have to protect him along the way. You're going to see a lot of cameos. You're going to see a lot of superstar actors in smaller roles. You're going to have Ben Affleck in here. You've got Ray Liotta, as I mentioned. I'm trying to remember everyone who's in this movie. Andy Garcia is in this movie. You even have Alicia Keys was in this movie. It's one of those when you pop in, you're like, oh, that person, that person, that person. And all of these different assassins are very unique, very colorful. They're coming at them in their different ways. Of all the people, it's up to Ryan Reynolds and Ray Liotta to try to protect Jeremy Piven and get him there safely. It is a high-octane ride, and I recommend it. I need to upgrade, but I do have Smoking Aces right here on DVD. You can probably find it out there on Streaming Land if you want to try before you buy, but I definitely recommend it. Comes in at number 10. At number 9 on the list is one that is like a twofer right here. This one is got a remake and an original, and I'm going to recommend both of them to you. I'm going to say 1975 and 2002 Rollerball. Now, this one stars James Caan. This one stars LL Cool J and Chris Klein and Rebecca Romaine Stamos. These are fun movies. They're set in not too distant dystopian almost futures. Like Rollerball itself is a futuristic violent sport, and it is corporate controlled. So it's the big money maker. It's very violent. People can die in Rollerball. It's all there for your entertainment. And when I say you can die in Rollerball, you can really die in Rollerball if you don't play ball with the elites who are in charge and have all the money and kind of control this society. And it is the same in this movie. As far as the storyline goes and the sport itself, of course, this is slightly updated. The original is a classic with James Caan. LL Cool J famously didn't like this, but it's still a fun ride. There are two different versions of this 2002. There's one that was cut down to be PG-13, and there's one that's R that has Rebecca Romaine Stamos fully undressed, and it shows that. So there's a couple of different versions. I think they're both fun. They kind of have a sci-fi element. It's some kind of weird roller derby meets football. If you check out James Caan, he looks almost like an old school football player more than anything else. And that's what it feels like to me. They're both fun. I recommend both. I think you can have fun with either. So I put them both on this list at number 9. I'm sure you can probably find those streaming out there as well. Anything that you want to try before you buy, there's no harm in that. But always, always physical media is going to be the best way to go. Coming in at number 8 is one I've talked about on the channel a couple times if you follow me. And I'm talking about 1985's Silverado. I love this movie. It's a Western. This is like the movie that launched Kevin Costner's career, and it was done by Lawrence Kasdan. And maybe that doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people. To me, it means a lot. Now, Lawrence Kasdan wrote and directed The Big Chill, which is a very good movie that I like. But what he is most famous for is his Star Wars credentials. And when I say that, he wrote Empire Strikes Back. He wrote Return of the Jedi. He also wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark. He wrote The Force Awakens. He wrote The Bodyguard. I mean, this guy has done some big things. He wrote and directed this. He owed Kevin Costner a starring role because of some things that happened with The Big Chill, and he basically got cut out of that movie. This movie stars Kevin Costner, Kevin Kline, Scott Glenn. You've got John Cleese in here. You got Danny Glover in here. You even have Amanda Weiss, fresh off at the time her turn as Tina in Nightmare on Elm Street. She has a small role. You have Jeff Goldblum in this movie. This is a lot of fun. It is not overly serious Western, but it's basically these four guys ride into the town to clean up things that are going on, and it is a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool Western vibes in it, but it just keeps a little bit more lighthearted tone, even when it gets serious, and there's like serious like gunfighting and stuff like that. And I can't recommend this one enough. This is one I would love to see come to 4K. I don't know if this one's available out there to try before you buy it streaming. This one's a bit harder to get a hold to. If you can stream it, my guess is probably on Amazon if you want to try before you buy. But big recommend. It's kind of like a revisionist Western style, so it's not going to be a classic Western in every step of the way. So if you're not a fan of the old kind of like by the numbers Westerns, this one's more for you. Think more of Maverick with Mel Gibson mixed with Young Guns might be more of a way to think of this movie. So I highly recommend Silverado. It comes in at number 8. At number 7 on the list is one that I don't have, and I'm talking about the Frank Miller 2008 film, The Spirit. Now, you could be cynical and say this is basically Frank Miller attempting to do Sin City on his own, and he called it The Spirit. But I think, Frank Miller hasn't done a lot on his own. This is one of only like maybe 2 projects that he did on his own. Of course, he's comic book writer, comic book artist, all this kind of stuff. This movie has a loaded cast who are all in it for the fun. You have ScarJo in here. You have Samuel L. Jackson in here, Eva Mendes in here, and you have Gabriel Macht. I think that's how you say his name. He actually plays the Spirit, and he's a rookie cop, and he returns from the great beyond, and he is a hero who is back to sort of right the wrongs and clean up and fight against the evil forces of Central City. Very comic book, if you've seen Sin City, you're getting into basically that, like with the style, the colors, the way it looks, all that stuff's very reminiscent of Sin City. Just a little bit different one. People don't really catch this one as much. I watched it recently and I was like, I think I'll recommend that. Maybe people can get in there and kind of see if they enjoy this one again. But if you haven't seen it in a while, check out The Spirit. Give it a chance. Comes in at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is one more that I don't have. And there may be a 4K out there of this. I'm sure you could try before you buy on streaming on this one as well. This one is actually, I believe, a remake of an older film with Steve McQueen, and I'm talking about 1994's The Getaway. Now, this one stars Kim Basinger and Alec Baldwin. This is when they were together. It also has Michael Madsen, James Woods, and I think the Steve McQueen film is from like 1972. This one follows a very similar track to that. This one is full of sex, guns, and bullets. It's sleazy characters here. Lots of old school kind of like 90s action. Alec Baldwin like jump firing a gun in slow motion. There's old school shootouts in this. And it's basically a guy, an ex-con, and his wife are on the run. I mean, I can go into it more, but it's not a very complicated plot in that kind of way. You're here for the action. You're here for the ride. You're here for these cool actors doing cool things. Like I said, it is full of sleazy characters and a lot of action. So if we're talking high octane, you want a high octane ride that's a little something different, something that maybe you haven't thought about in a long time, I'm going to say give The Getaway from 1994 a turn. I think you'll probably enjoy it. At least in there, visually, you're going to enjoy it, if you know what I mean. So number 6 is The Getaway. All right, coming in at number 5 is one that I never hear anyone talk about. And this is a very famous actor who does lots of stuff. I love him. My kids love him. We love this movie. I quote this movie all the time because I keep you silky smooth. You know this. I'm talking about number 5 here. You Don't Mess with the Zohan. Adam Sandler. Now, this movie is from 2008, and Sandler plays like a special forces guy in the Israeli army, I think it is, and he is tired of doing that. He's like a spy, an undercover spy, and he is special forces, and he kind of fakes his own death so no one can find him because he wants to go to the United States. He wants to go to New York City and become a hairdresser. That's right. I said it right. He wants to become a hairdresser. And he's actually really good at it, but he does like very outlandish things. You're going to see a lot of people you recognize, a lot of usual suspects with Adam Sandler films. This one is very rated R, though. Very rated R. There's a lot of crude humor in here, a lot of innuendo, a lot of stuff like that is very different from like Happy Gilmore. Like this is very, very rated R. So you are not finding Hotel Transylvania here. You can come in here and he can make you silky smooth. You know this. You know this. I say this to my kids all the time. We joke about it all the time. But You Don't Mess with the Zohan is fun. Very different. Kind of weird. But one that I think you'll have fun with. And get you some hummus ready. And if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. There's hummus everywhere in this. It's absolutely hilarious what Adam Sandler does here. You Don't Mess with the Zohan from, I think, 2008 comes in at number 5. All right, at number 4 on the list is one more I don't have. And this is a really good movie. This is more of a much more serious tone of spies than what we just talked about here with You Don't Mess with the Zohan. I'm talking about 2001's Spy Game. This stars Robert Redford and Brad Pitt. This was directed by the late, great Tony Scott, so it's going to have some of Tony Scott's style in there. And Robert Redford is a retiring CIA operative, and he's ready for his, kind of to retire, and his protege to take over and kind of replace him, and that's Brad Pitt. The only trouble is, right as he's about to retire, he finds out that Brad Pitt's character, Tom Bishop, has been arrested and he's being held in China, and now Redford has to go basically break him out, rescue him. So as he's getting ready to retire, call it quits, his protege gets in hot water. He's got to put off retirement, go save his bacon, and I think it's a more realistic look at spy stuff. It's not going to be like James Bond with high-tech gadgets and stuff like that. It's not going to be over-the-top comedy and nonsense fighting like you're going to get in You Don't Mess with the Zohan. It's probably going to be more like real-world spycraft, and I think that's kind of interesting. But again, you got Tony Scott's style. That his style was all over everything he did. This one's no different. So if you're a fan of Tony Scott, if you like spy movies, if you like Robert Redford, if you like Brad Pitt, it's all here. So Spy Game comes in at number 4. At number 3, we kind of stick with the spy, kind of like law enforcement, undercover agent type thing. But boy, is this a different turn completely. This one takes a little bit of a supernatural turn and definitely a comedic turn as well, but it is not short on the action and fun. I'm talking about 2013's R.I.P.D. Rest in Peace Department. This stars Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds, and Kevin Bacon is in this movie as well. This movie is a lot of fun. Now, maybe it suffers a little bit from some weaker CGI, but it's not the point of the movie at all. In the afterlife, Reynolds plays Nick Walker, who is he's a former detective in real life, or before he died, and now he's in the afterlife. He was with the Boston PD, and in the afterlife, he is hired by the director of a group of deceased officers who hunt down renegade ghosts. So they're almost like U.S. Marshal / agents of the bounty hunters of the afterlife in some ways. It's kind of like a dead guy buddy comedy. You have some cool like Western moments. Jeff Bridges is just going with the fun silliness of it. There is some awesome scenes there. They basically tip the cap to Western tropes in Western movies. But while they're doing all this, they're going to have to stop the apocalypse. And this movie is just a lot of fun. Don't take it too seriously. Although it does have some serious moments, the premise is a little different. Maybe the CGI will be off-putting to some. I think the story, the action, the acting between Reynolds and Bridges is so damn fun. Totally worth the ride. R.I.P.D. High recommend, comes in at number 3. All right, coming in at number 2 is one I never hear anyone talk about. And I actually have a couple things to talk about here with this one. And I'm going to talk about the movie, but I'm going to talk about 1997's Spawn. Now, I also pulled the Spawn series. This was an HBO like R-rated cartoon series with Keith David doing the voice of Spawn, and this is awesome. This is awesome. High recommend this, but the movie itself stars Michael J. White. You have John Leguizamo. This is a Todd McFarlane written thing, and he writes this as well. But you also have Martin Sheen in this, and Martin Sheen flat out said he did this movie because he wanted to do a superhero movie. And this was before like the MCU and all of that. A lot of people don't like this. I'm a big fan of this movie. Somewhat dark, as you have the character of Spawn, if you don't know, is Al Simmons, and he is an assassin for the government, basically. And he is double-crossed, and he is killed and goes to hell. And he is basically becomes the devil Spawn. He makes a deal with the devil, essentially, in order to come back and see his wife, Wanda. He'll do anything for Wanda. But he wasn't a good guy. He's like he's one step past anti-hero. Like he might be headed down south had it, no matter what, had the devil not been involved anyway. And now the devil wants to send him back with all of these powers that he's given him. He's a hell spawn. He's given him all these powers, and the clown, played by John Leguizamo, is there to guide him. And he wants him to kill Martin Sheen's character in order to trigger basically an apocalypse that will be a war between heaven and hell, bring about the end of the world, so the devil can get power. Malbolgia. And man, I'm a big fan of this. It's dark. Sure, it suffers from some earlier CGI. You're talking about 1997, but it's not enough to be off-putting. And the story, it's very gritty. Very, very gritty. Very, very R. Just like the cartoon, which you wouldn't think. This is great. I recommend both. If you want a little something that's different, you want a really hard R comic book movie that isn't silly like Deadpool and Wolverine. And I like Deadpool and Wolverine. But this is whole different. This has some gravitas and some grittiness to it. Highly recommend Spawn. A lot of people don't talk about it. It comes in at number 2 on this list. Now, at number 1 on this list is one that I don't have, and I'm going to confess I just recently saw, and man, when I tell you I was blown away, loved this movie, loved it, can't wait to watch it again. 2013's Horns. Now, this stars Daniel Radcliffe of Harry Potter and Juno Temple, and it's got an interesting premise. This is based on a book. This was written by Joe Hill, who is the son of Stephen King. And it has a very interesting premise. And basically, after his girlfriend turns up murdered, his would-be fiance turns up murdered, a young guy, Radcliffe, the whole town blames him for her murder. They believe he's gotten away with it, and he wakes up and he begins growing horns, devil horns, out of his head. I know, it sounds weird, but he finds with these horns, is he's desperately trying to prove his innocence, figure out what happened. He finds that these horns give him some powers. Among those powers are people basically confess their sinful thoughts to him, which turns very darkly comedic. Now, this movie is very rated R. It has nudity, it has sexual situations, it has the violence in it, it has the murder, and he's trying to solve this murder and clear his name. And the problem is no one believes him, not even his family. And he basically has the mark of the devil upon him. So the people that see these horns, they believe it's just confirmation. He's trying to use it to his advantage, figure out what happened, clear his name. This has horror elements. It has deep mystery elements. It has dark comedy elements. It has plain old comedy elements. But it is a very serious film in some ways, but it has enough lightheartedness to get you in there. It maybe struggles a little bit with the finish. That is a common problem with Stephen King, and apparently it runs in his family. Although I think you'll find the ending satisfying. I really cannot recommend this enough. If you want something that's unique, something that's different, something that's going to challenge you, it's going to make you laugh, it's going to scare you a little bit, creep you out a little bit, make you get engrossed and suck you in and try to figure out what's going on, I cannot recommend Horns enough. I don't know how I missed it. I don't want you to miss it. You can try before you buy. It is on Prime for streaming. I'm going to go right out and get this as soon as I can on physical media because I absolutely loved it, and I think you will too. And that is what I have for you. 10 underrated movies that maybe you've forgotten about, missed, maybe you just never even knew about. I think all these are a lot of fun. Little something for everybody, and that's what we do here. We do all kinds of cool lists like this, rankings, movie recommendations, 4K reviews, physical media news, all that stuff from a fan and filmmaker's perspective. That's what I do. If you're new here, I'm a filmmaker for over 20 years. That's what I do, and I absolutely love movies, and I love recommending them and sharing them with you, telling you how to get them in the best quality, giving you my thoughts on them, having a discussion. That's what we do here. If that sounds like your jam, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And if you want to consider supporting the channel, you can join below at my Patreon link or right here on YouTube. Become a channel member, get your name and lights on every video, special behind the scenes looks at my filmmaking, members only videos, and so much more. And it all really helps the channel. I'll try to Amazon link these below if you use the Amazon links here or at my Amazon storefront where I'll sort them into a group for this video. That helps out the channel as well, and I really, really do appreciate it. But until next time, I will keep doing more lists, more rankings, more reviews, all that. You guys let me know what you want to hear from me, and we'll do it. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. I know.